that's just about gonna do it for the first half of Just My Opinion.
K-Fox Night Beat with Nasty Ness Rodriguez.
The beat of the Fox. K-Fox Night Beat, Nasty Ness.
You know what? You're gonna listen from 5 to midnight. Just turn it on and don't stop. DJ Alibaba, the underground surround sound Star Time with Paul Pearson.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pearson.
Sunday evening sound sessions on Rainier Avenue Radio. Trust me, you'll be listening the entire time from 5 to midnight. Sunday evening, your sound session on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Feel uneasy on your feet? Need assistance to walk? Do you use a wheelchair and want to stand more? What if you could stand stronger and feel steadier on your feet? What would this mean for your daily life and those closest to you? Join our dance-based walking program to improve balance, coordination, strength, and stamina. Wednesdays, May 18th to June 22nd at 2 p.m. at the iconic Columbia City Theater in partnership with Rainier Avenue Radio and Hugs That Empower nonprofit. Walkers, wheelchairs, and canes, welcome. If you can stand and bear weight for even just 5 seconds, come dance to walk with Tango Stride.
You're listening to RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Go ahead and come out loud. Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. This is our presentation for the redistricting of the city of Seattle. This is a town hall meeting. First of all, my name is Tony B, and we're excited to be sharing this information with you. For those of you who are here with a live audience, thank you so much for coming. For those of you who are joining us over our variety of virtual platforms, thank you for coming. This is a critical issue. It's not the sexiest issue, so you may not have heard about it. But if you think in terms of what redistricting the city means, it could turn into, what do you want your neighborhood to look like? So we're going to have some discussion today. There'll be some folks who are going to share information with you and hopefully give you a lot more information about redistricting in the city of Seattle. So essentially, the census is why this is happening. That's going to cause some changes in the neighborhoods. Some neighborhoods are going to have more people than we thought they had. Some neighborhoods have less people than they thought they had. That's, again, why it's so important when the census is completed or when the census is being done that you fill out the information, because otherwise communities can be undercounted and a whole lot of stuff comes up with that. I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of wonky stuff. I just want to thank you for tuning in and let you know that we're going to be sharing information with you about redistricting, how it works. Ultimately, at the end of the day, do you have any options to have any say in this? Well, we're going to get to the bottom of that as well. So this is Rainier Avenue Radio, and we are broadcasting live from the Columbia City Theater, which is now our home. If this is one of your first times checking out Rainier Avenue Radio, we are your community radio station, proudly representing South Seattle. That's what Rainier Avenue is all about. We offer a number of different educational programs in addition to broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Should tell you about the programming. Really proud of our educational program. So it was actually the staple before we started the radio station. But we broadcast in multiple languages. We broadcast in Fijian, we broadcast in Tagalog, we broadcast in Vietnamese, we broadcast in Somali, we broadcast in Spanish. We have a variety of programming. We broadcast critical news issues, some things that maybe, you know, are talk show-ish that are maybe funny, at least our hosts want them to be. We also broadcast a variety of sports, high school baseball, basketball, and football. We broadcast those live. We occasionally get into some of the other sports as well, and we're looking to more of that next year. course, we broadcast music, all varieties of music here on Rainier Avenue Radio. And then we also broadcast youth programming for youth by youth. We don't tell them what to say or because it's their opinion, so we don't edit it. And our educational programs, Creative Arts Digital Media Academy. We offer classes in everything from communications and journalism, app design, web design, film, photography, and of course, broadcast. Every summer, we also offer a course in math and coding. We've offered these courses in schools, Rainier Beach, Allen T. Sugiyama, Rainier Valley Leadership Academy, Cleveland, Franklin, Mercer Middle School, Washington Middle School, Meany Middle School. We've had students who've attended our classes from Seattle Academy, from Roosevelt, from Garfield. What's the school up way north? I'll think of it in a minute, but we had a wonderful program with them. We've got students who started out interning for us who are now broadcasting at USC, Notre Dame, at Butler, at the University of Washington. Now, I know that you don't know all of this information because that is the thing that we do. It's not necessarily the thing that we talk about. What we talk about is making sure that our community members have voice on this radio station. We have over 80 members of the community who either host or produce shows right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We are your community radio station. So we're going to get down to business and start talking about this redistricting and find out what it is, and as much information as you want, you can talk to us. Those of you in the audience, we're going to have a microphone for you. Those of you who are online and have registered through Eventbrite, we will be communicating with you, and you can share your thoughts and information on the Zoom link. If you haven't done that, I think you can still register. But say something in chat and we'll try to figure it out. The point of this meeting is to be inclusive. So we're not trying to stop communication from anybody. So if you're out there and you're going, oh, well, hey, I want to take part in this, we'll try and figure it out so that we can get you on the air and hear your thoughts and opinion. That's what it's all about this evening right here at this town hall meeting. I do want to bring out Nairae Petty, who is from the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, and she's here live. Thank you, Nairae. I'm just going to give you this microphone. How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Can I,
cool. Yeah, we can sit down. Cool. We can sit down. So a lot of people are listening, so they don't even know if we're standing or sitting anyway.
Okay.
I wanted you to come out, Nairae, and I'm going to have Yuan come up here as well, because I'm going to turn the microphone over to Yuan, and I'll be back.
Okay.
But right now, we're going to get a more descriptive version of what's going on here. And believe me, this is going to be amazing because this can get kind of wonky, but Yuan does a great job of breaking it down and taking something that's this big and trying to make it this big. We do have 2 hours. So Yuan, we might need you to come up here a few times. So we want to make sure everybody understands. But here you go. Do you think?
Thanks, everyone. Hi, my name is Yuan, and I'm here to explain why redistricting matters. So as I'm sure most of you know, our city is divided into 7 districts, and each district has its own council member. So I do have some slides. I hope y'all can see it. It just has not yet. So it just has, I just have up there a picture of our current districts in Seattle and what they look like. And the idea is each district has 1 council member representing them. The idea is that 1 council member represents a set number of people, so that no one council member represents more or less people than any of the other ones. If you go ahead. So our current districts right now that I personally really care about, and I hope y'all care about here in South Seattle, are District 2 and District 3. And so our council members for District 2 and District 3 are Tammy Morales and Kashama Sawant. And I think that they do a great job. And they represent South Seattle and Central District. And the reason why redistricting matters is because those districts, the people in those districts are the ones that are going to be electing these council members. Slide, please. So what makes our districts in South Seattle really special is that District 2 is majority POC, and that is something that is really special. And it means that we have a singular council member that represents all of our voices here in the International District, Beacon Hill, Rainier Valley, and the entire South End. District 3 also includes Central District, and which means that the council member for District 3 represents the voices of those communities, Yesler Terrace, Central District, and Leshy. So I think it's really important to recognize that District 2 and District 3, basically this entire swath of Seattle, has major diversity that we want to keep, that we want to make sure that the voices are heard for these districts. And redistricting can throw a wrench in that if we're not careful. So slide, please. As Tony mentioned, the census just happened in 2020, which means that we newly learned how many people live in each area of Seattle. So I have a kind of blurry picture up there of where of like how many people are in each current district in Seattle. So you can see that the blue numbers, basically District 2, District 1 in West Seattle, both didn't grow as much as, say, District 3, Central Seattle. So that means that in order to maintain the same number of people that each council member represents, these districts are going to have to change shape. They're going to have it's going to have to shrink so that it represents fewer people if there's too many people in it, or they're going to have to grow if there's not enough people in it. So in order to reflect that process, we have in Seattle the redistricting process to change these districts. So in order to be approximately the same size, each district should have about 105,000 people. You don't need to remember that number. It's just there if you care about it. But the main idea is that each district has to be about the same number of people. Slide, please. So just to go back to why it matters, I'm pretty sure most of you have heard about something called gentrification. Gentrification is something that everybody talks about on a larger level, congressional district level. You hear about it happening in Texas and Illinois and Georgia. And what it mainly is about disenfranchising voices of people of color. And it's not just something that happens at a national scale. It can also happen at a city level. The way it can happen is by if you redraw the districts in such a way such that people of color are broken up into different districts, then when you think about it, when they vote, they are such a small percentage of that district that their vote essentially doesn't matter. And we want to prevent that as much as possible. What we want is to make sure that our voices are heard. Slide. So the problem with our redistricting process is that very often in South Seattle, our voices aren't heard. So when they come up with these solutions, they don't know our communities. They don't know where our families are, where we work, where our children go to school. Not that I have children, but the idea is that a lot of people then draw these maps that are just completely bonkers. So the redistricting committee came out with a couple of maps that they're not drafts, they're not proposals, but they are examples, I suppose, that they drew. And I'm just going to demonstrate to you a little why they concern me quite a bit, and they should concern all of us. So they came out with a couple maps. I'm not going to go through them all, but this is map number 1. And thank you. No, go ahead. Yeah, so I'm just zooming in a little on how they redrew these districts. So the light blue is District 1, and the yellow is District 2, and the purple is District 3. And the way that they've redrawn these districts is in such a way where it separates basically the international district from the rest of District 2. It draws something really strange right in the middle. It basically pretends the international district isn't a singular community and just like cuts right in the middle of it for no reason. And this is not the first time that people have simply tried to cut in the middle of the international district in the heart of our Asian community here in Seattle. It's because the people drawing these maps don't know. They don't know where our communities are. They don't know what's important to us, and they don't understand that. And so as a result, they end up drawing these really bizarre maps. Everything all right? I kind of need the visual, sorry. Yes. Absolutely.
I heard about that thing like a year ago thing that was happening there. Do you happen to know in that particular example why that gerrymandered finger comes down?
So yeah, so it's really important to know that the Redistricting Commission does not want us to consider these proposals, because what they did was they had these consultants come up with these maps that were computer generated. And the way they computer generated this was they basically dumped the census data in, and then they dumped the lines of the roads in and had computers pump out these maps. Now, that is actually really, really bad. And let me explain why. It's really bad because basically the computers are reinforcing existing biases that already happen in our city. I'll just give you an example. So I-5 cuts right in the middle of International District. I don't know if y'all have been there, but it basically is just this giant cut. It just cuts right through the International District and separates out half of the International District from the other. And historically, that's because when cities built highways, they didn't care about communities of color. They were willing to displace so many communities for the sake of transportation in the name of efficiency and saving money. And when we draw lines of districts in accordance to those roads, we are simply bringing forward and reinforcing the racism that happened that destroyed our communities back then. So that historical context is so important, and we need to make sure that we don't follow that. We need to know what the real community lines are. And there are so many lines. When we did redistricting for legislative districts a couple months back, a lot of the Republicans did this exact same thing. They drew a line right down I-5. And, you know, if they don't know the community, it kind of makes sense. It's a giant line right in the middle of the city. It's cleanly divides one side from the other. But again, that is just reinforcing a lot of the racism that has happened from people not really caring about our communities. So that is why we have to pay attention when redistricting happens, to stop things like this from happening. Because so many people will say things like, well, this is best for the city, even if it kind of harms this community of color. Because it's so easy to disregard communities of color when we're such a small percentage of the overall population of the city. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Can I put on a list of these political motivations?
Yeah. Great question. I was going to show another map, but I feel like I've made my point.
Hey, you know what? Mm-hmm. Let's do this since we can. If somebody's asking a question, you have a wireless microphone, just so that the folks who are listening can hear it. And
I can repeat the question. Oh yeah.
That we can all hear.
If you just keep going.
Yeah, my question is, how do we stop this politically motivated redistricting? And I know the computer generating is data that is biased towards communities of color. So as a community representative, what is our role should be? Can you explain a little bit on that?
Yeah. Oh, whoa. Thank you for asking. That's exactly why we're here. So there is a redistricting committee that the city of Seattle has put together that is responsible for creating these maps. They are the ones that are going to come out with the final maps. But they may be the exact same people. They don't know our communities. And the only way that we can influence them, the only way that we can tell them what is acceptable and what is not, is to speak them no. So they are whole
As urban no. Also because we haven't really had the time to come up with a stance. Like what Yuan mentioned, we just had our District 2 forum not too long ago, and it's like rushing through. But we are planning on getting everybody together and talking more about ways that we could draw District 2 and District 3 for our community. So yeah.
Well, thank you. I mean, the whole point, the reason why we're here is because we have to make people aware of this.
Right.
And then create awareness, and then we can start talking about what people think, whatever. But right now, people don't even know. Also, joining me is Maria Batayola. Maria, thank you for joining us from the Beacon Hill Council. Same question, basically, before we go to break. Your thoughts, your feelings in regard to redistricting, in particular for Districts 2 and Districts 3. Do you have a stance on it? Is there something you'd like to see?
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Hi, Tammy. Good to see you. Hi, Baraket from, so these are community activists in the audience. So I just wanted to acknowledge that you're here. We at Beacon Hill Council studied the 4 maps, and we also studied the criteria on how those maps were drawn and what considerations we can put in. Because there's what we want, and there's what the legislation does so that we can deal with it. So basically what we took is we looked at the 2 portions called community of interest, and we have 2 different kinds. One is our ethnicity and race and culture. Beacon Hill is 40,000 people. We have 70% people of color, 40% immigrants and refugees. Close to half of those are Asians. So there's a saying in Beacon Hill, our grandparents are in Chinatown, and our families are in Beacon Hill. Their families are in Beacon Hill. And so that's one community of interest. The other community of interest is what is called environmental justice. And I guess I need to turn it over to you and then pick it up later.
Yes, we'll come back and we'll finish up. We'll talk to both of you again a little bit. Then we're also going to go to break. And for those of you who are joining us virtually, you'll be able to go into a breakout room. For those of you who are here, we're going to have a little breakout session, look at the maps. We're going to come back from that. We're going to start hearing your voices. We'll talk some more. This is Rainier Avenue Radio's town hall meeting discussing the city of Seattle's redistricting. I'm Tony B. We'll be back right after this.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time, and when I'm not busy tearing the roof off the suckers, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Wash your hands, don't touch your face, wipe things down, clean up your space. When you cough and sneeze, do responsibly. If you feel you're getting ill, isolate at home and chill. No, you're not alone. Please pick up your phone and call 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Community Radio Station will provide you with more information. Say Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Greetings. This is your host, DJ Neftali, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, the best DJ in the Seattle area. You can catch me every Monday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. Like I said, this is DJ Neftali, the best reggae in Seattle, Washington.
Recording in progress.
Station, Rainier Avenue Radio.
Recording stopped.
Right?
This is Mondo Bancaro from Mondo's World. We will be discussing some interesting subjects. Sometimes I might even have some guests. So please listen to my show on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Atlantic Street Center has been serving the children, youth, and families of the Seattle-King County area since 1910. We partner with families and communities to raise healthy, successful children and youth through services including counseling, early learning, youth development, domestic violence, and education support for school-aged children. Committed to serving the African American community, Atlantic Street Center provides services and support for all marginalized people. Learn more at AtlanticStreetCenter.org.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Check us out on social media. Facebook and Instagram, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, and on Twitter at Rainier Av Radio.
Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio.world's presentation, Town Hall Meeting, the redistricting of the city of Seattle. I'm Tony B. We're having a conversation about what this means, what it could mean. What do you want your community to look like? What do you want your neighborhood to look like? At the end of the day, this is a choice that you should have. Joining me are Naire Petty from the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle and Maria Battiolo from Beacon Hill Council. We're going to talk to them more. Joining us on StreamYard is Andrew Hong, and I want to make sure and bring Andrew into this conversation. Andrew, can you hear me?
Seattle is redistricting. It's voting.
Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
I can.
Can y'all hear me? Awesome. All right, dope.
Got it. There we go. Andrew, welcome to the program. Will you give us a little background information on who you are and why you are joining this conversation today?
Problem is,
yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. Something else. All right. Yeah. My name is Andrew. I use he, him pronouns. I am the statewide coordinator of Redistricting Justice for Washington. Last year, we were a coalition of statewide organizations fighting for fair district lines in the state and congressional redistricting process for communities of color. And this year, along with Naire from the Urban League and other coalition groups in Seattle, we're making sure that redistricting serves communities, especially people of color, in the Seattle City Council redistricting process. Now, on a personal note, I am a lifelong resident of the South End. I live near Columbia City. I graduated from Cleveland High School, Mercer Middle School, Kimball Elementary School on Beacon Hill. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And I don't know if you answered this, but I'm going to ask you the same question I asked both Naire and Maria. Do you have a position on this? And I mean, because I know there are folks out there who feel a certain way, you know, they feel some kind of way about this. Do you feel some kind of way about this redistricting?
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely do. That's why I'm doing this work. I think too many times in this in city politics and state politics, communities of color get kind of put on second priority for other partisan interests and other interests of special interest groups, big money, and those already in power politicians. And you know, we've seen throughout last year's process, communities of color, especially in Yakima, also in South King County, in Tacoma area, South Tacoma, those communities have been split apart because people of color's voices and our voting rights weren't heard. And so it's really important that I'm in this work, you and everyone else here on the stage and in the audience is in this work to make sure that the South End is heard and is centered in this redistricting process, and that we're not divided in our voting rights and our voting power is protected.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go back and finish our conversation, and then we're going to have this break session here. But I'm just going to just put it the way that it is. You know what I mean? Naire, I'll start with you, and then we'll go back to you, Maria, because I know you have a list. On behalf of yourself personally, or maybe representing the Urban League, do y'all feel some kind of way about this? I mean, this is my understanding. Okay, we had 2 commissioners appointed by the former city council, right? 2 commissioners appointed by the former Mayor Durkin. Those 4 appointed somebody else. These 5 people, as far as my understanding goes, have almost complete autonomy. Maybe I'm wrong in redistricting Seattle. Now, you know, each district has to have about the same amount of people. but I don't even know who these people are. Now, again, I'm just a regular. Maybe y'all are more aware than I am, and have more information and knowledge than I do, and it's above my pay grade. But I think I should know what the hell is going on, because of the climate that we have in this country. And we hear about gerrymandering, and we hear about people making districts that favor a particular candidate or a particular party. And so I just, do y'all feel some kind of way about this, or should we not really care? Are we in good hands, or you just like hey, we're just bipartisan observing?
No, Tony, I definitely feel a certain type of way about it. I mean, like when city council districts were created, I was a freshman in high school. I always thought we always had city council districts. And so for a while, I dug deep into the history of districts, and it just seems like districts were made by wealthy political elites in the first place. And they were ignorant of communities of color, and it was blatant and on purpose. I've read many articles where the leader of the campaign had acknowledged all of the advocates against the map, by the way, which was drawn by a UW professor without any public input, and just said that I don't believe in race. I only believe in human race. And now we see what has happened. District 2 it's now gotten wider, and District 3 has been gentrified. And so, yeah, of course, I feel a certain type of way about it. We see that redistricting is a process used to increase representation for underserved communities, and that's the point of it. But we haven't seen that happen for our communities, which is why we're here today. But I will pass it to you.
Well, I feel really strong about this because there's a contradiction that's going on with a city talking about race and social justice, and our communities really building our power. Like in Central District, they're reclaiming the legacy of the African American. There are districts, there are pockets that are already bringing people back, owning land, trying to own buildings. In Beacon Hill, we're organizing so that we can deal with the divestment that's happened to our community, why we have so many environmental health and climate justice issues, from oil-heated homes to air and noise pollution from roads, because we're surrounded by I-5 on the west, I-90, Rainier, MLK, and overhead, we get the airplanes, about 70% heading towards SeaTac for landing come over us. Airplanes fly as often as 60 to 90 seconds. So with that, building the power within to be able to lift community up and then being deconstructed by redistricting proposals. For example, there's one proposal that carves out Middle Beacon Hill. Here's I-5. But if we're trying to represent and organize our folks to stand up for healthier lives, and they're cutting that part out, who's going to lift up their issue? So we have to take responsibility. We have to take responsibility for our brothers and sisters in the Central District. They've been gentrified. We're next on that block. Last year, Beacon Hill was declared as the most gentrified just by looking at the stats of who's moving in. We went from 32,000
say that
to
again.
40,000.
I don't want that to go by people. Say what you just said again.
Which part? The one about our
Beacon
brothers
Hill.
and sisters. Beacon Hill is the most gentrified. Seattle Times put out an article in terms of what's most changing in the neighborhoods. And one of the things that people don't realize is in North Beacon Hill, because it's a transit hub, then there's a lot of building, there's a lot of building up, and we have the Mandatory Housing Affordability Act that helps accelerate that building process. So we're trying to say, let's balance it with what's healthy, physically healthy for our community, environmentally healthy, climate justice healthy, because we're on countdown. So this piece, and I wanted to compliment, I can't find her. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name. The one who explained about the redistricting?
You won.
This is our future. This is our future. We cannot ignore this. We cannot ignore the comp plan coming. So again, supporting our brothers and sisters in Central District. They got gentrified, and now they're deconstructing that gentrification to do something better. And that power is going to be parsed out through redistricting. That's not right. That is just not right.
Okay, we're gonna go and we're gonna go and have a little breakout session here, and you can do the same thing online. The folks here are gonna take a look at some maps. It might work that way on Zoom as well. Then we're gonna come back, and then we'll have some commentary, and we want to know what people thought about viewing the maps. For those of you who are going to or just listening to us right now, we're not shutting you out. We're going to keep you entertained. We're going to walk around to the breakout sessions and kind of eavesdrop and ear hustle. You've heard that term before. On these conversations. So be aware that when you're in these conversations in the breakout room, that the mic could be hot. So don't let that stop you. If it's going to make you stop from actually saying how you feel, I won't bring the mic around. If that's going to make you feel hesitant about actually saying how you feel. So I won't, but just be aware. And there's a hot mic anyway. You're in a place where there's recordings going on. So yeah, so I'll tell you what, Andrew, are you there still? Hey, Andrew?
Here, yeah.
Okay, Andrew, before we go to this breakout session, I also wanted to give you a chance, if you had any additional words before we go to this breakout session, now that we've heard from Naire and Maria. Anything else you want to add before we go to break, or go to the breakout sessions?
Not anything in particular, just that, you know, as we head into looking at these maps, it's really important that folks think about, you know, what makes sense in your neighborhood, what neighborhoods are connected, like, you know, what district does your neighborhood feel connected with, what other neighborhoods, whether it's Yesler Terrace, you know, Judkins Park, Georgetown, Beacon Hill, South Park, all those areas in the South End. Where are the connections at, and where do each neighborhoods belong in, you know, which district? And that's really important as folks get into these maps in a few minutes. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to go to this breakout session. And so at Rainier Avenue Radio, we started as a grassroots organization. No one gave us permission to start. We started with basically nothing. This is never going to be a perfect station because we're always going to be pushing the boundaries, and we're always going to be bringing new people in to learn. And so that's what we do here. Having said that, the reason why I'm saying this is we've now acquired this beautiful facility. And same deal. We didn't wait to get started. We just got started. And if you were in on that meeting, I think you know it's the same thing. Wait a minute, we're going to do something about this. This is a shameless self-promotion for if you want to donate right now so that we can get where we need to be equipment-wise. Venmo at RainierAvenueRadio.world. Bam, right up there. Donate at Venmo at Rainier Avenue Radio. And your money will go to good use. We'll be able to do more things like this. We've got programming for youth coming in the summer, and we can get more equipment, you know, but we're going to keep doing it. We're not going to let things become barriers in assisting our community with getting the word out. We're going to keep doing that. So right now, we're going to go to breakout rooms. Yeah, so I guess Yawan, I guess you want to do that. And Naire, Maria, you can go do that and come back, and I'll sit up here for a minute for our listening on it. You guys ignore me, all right? Yawan, somebody, you guys look at the maps, get together and talk, and they will set the same thing up for you if you're listening on Zoom. And you've registered through Eventbrite. I understand that there's potentially some technical issues, and we'll try and get those resolved as well. Oh, you can go this way. You don't have to go all the way around. So, for our listening audience and for those who are watching right now, while we break out into groups to have this discussion, again, I'll share a little bit more information with you about Rainier Avenue Radio. We are a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week broadcast media network. We broadcast in the interest of South Seattle, thus the name Rainier Avenue Radio. It's the main corridor. Essentially, I feel like you can get anywhere in Seattle from Rainier Avenue, whether that be heading to I-90 or getting on I-5, going north or south or east or west, or in access to any of our communities. We're really proud of the fact that this is a community-driven radio station. And in partnership with the Cultural Space Agency, we were able to acquire this building and program this building and make sure that this iconic Columbia City Theater for the next 107 years served the purposes of our communities. Yeah, we were just sitting in a meeting, KL, at least contacted me, but I think contacted quite a few people. And we got information in that particular meeting about this thing called redistricting. I didn't really know what it was. I mean, I know what redistricting means. I didn't know what was taking place. And no fault to anybody. They're trying to get the word out. This is just not the sexiest thing to talk about, but it is critically important. And from there, we just said, hey, you know what? Let's put together a town hall meeting. Just start the process of communicating with people, you know, and if it's one, it's one. If it's 10, it's 10, and that will spread, but just start this process. And so we invite you all to go to all of the public forums and make sure you get this information, share this information. You can hold your own public forum, your own town hall in your own community. Just get together and discuss the issue of redistricting and how you feel about it and how it may impact your community. All right, that's the main thing to go from here. Having said that, Raj, I don't know, I'm going to take a step down here. All right. I am a little dark over here. Hey, James. You think you can cut the light on up there? The full light show. Oh, everything. No, the mic on, lights on. Lights on. Oh, I see. I'll tell you what. All right. Okay. Is that better? Let's see. Yeah, just stir everything up. Okay. And you're listening to Rainier Avenue. Don't everybody get quiet because I'm over here with a microphone. So, sure. You want to ask me on the air? Because I'm on air. Okay, go ahead. Oh, I know. I just want to make sure you knew you were on here. Well, let's look in this camera. Let's look in this camera. All right, you introduce yourself and then ask the question.
Okay, my name is Ali. I'm from WAMA, Washington African Media Association, and also I'm director for Somali Media Association.
Say it again.
Somali Media Association, or WAMA, Washington African Media Association. So the question is,
at one time to a meeting, I'm supposed to be a part of this organization.
You're on already because you live in Rainier Avenue and you're the part of the community, you know.
So you had a question?
So my question is, this kind of events or town hall, why doesn't know our community? And earlier you said your radio speaking for the different language. So how we can connect together so that way to understand or to interpret to the other communities, especially East Africans. Because as a WAMA, we represent for the whole entire East Africans. As you know, we speak in Somali, Swahili, Tigrinya, Amharinya, all those languages. We do all in one click. That's what we stand for. So my question is, if you have next program, can you send it us an email or to know? So like today we can set it up immediately with interpreter what's going on. Like when I earlier see them redistrict in our district, I live district 2. Nobody knows what's going on in my community.
That's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing this. Thank you for coming. What we're doing is trying to help get the word out. because people don't know. And this is just a small step for us. Like I said, I was sitting in a meeting, said, hey, we're going to do something about it. So now we know. And let's do more. Let's make sure we bring our community. We got to get people to figure out what they want to do about this. First, we have to get them aware that it's even taking place. And so you know that we are here. And I'm going to invite you to come on the air with me. And let's make sure, at least from Rainier Avenue Radio, that we are there for your community in a language that is comfortable for the people who are familiar with you, that we get the word out to them. How's that?
Yep. Thank you. So that's why I get some information tonight. I will already set it up in the question in my community. If you go on my Facebook, personal Facebook, I asked one simple question earlier. I said, Seattle District 2 and 3, why does it matter? That's a simple question. So I want to put in as a different language to ask for the community.
Can you see that? Oh, okay. I tried. Anyway.
Yeah. So
it changed. It changed. Okay.
So immediately, they will ask.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for that.
Okay. We will get your voice on there. Let your community know if they have questions, they can contact you. Contact Ali. And you say it in languages that people are comfortable listening.
Somali, Amhariya, Tigrinya, Kiswahili, all East African languages.
I'm going to go peek in here, see what we've got going on. Wow. I'm trying to find somebody I can eavesdrop on. Okay. So just, you don't have to, anybody want to tell me what you guys are talking about over here?
So we're talking about District 2 and how it needs to expand, but where exactly it should expand in relation to the neighborhoods. And I know at RJS, one of the things we talk about is, should District 2 expand into areas like First Hill, or should it expand into areas like taking in the rest of Yesler Terrace? Because Yesler is split up right now. So should it take in the rest of Yesler Terrace, keep that community together, and then also expand a little bit into the Central District, going just up to Langston Hughes Center? And so that's what we're talking about now, is when it comes to expanding, which neighborhoods actually relate to the other neighborhoods in District 2, like Rainier Beach. Like, does Rainier Beach, does Beacon Hill, do they relate to First Hill more than they relate to Yesler Terrace? That's a good question that people should have.
Great conversation. Did you want to say something?
Oh, I just moved out of Rainier Beach to Hillman City. So what were you saying about Rainier Beach?
I was just saying, would Rainier Beach relate to an area like First Hill more than it would relate to Yesler Terrace, and vice versa? Does Yesler Terrace see themselves with Rainier Beach, or do they see themselves more with Madrona and all the other neighborhoods in District 3? So.
And your response was?
Rainier Beach is too far from any of those places to relate to them too much. But I don't know all the context for this.
Well, that's why we're here. And you're entitled to feel the way that you feel. All right. I'm going to eavesdrop over. Kale, you want to say something?
Just happy that everyone is here, and hopefully this will spread like fire, that everybody will get involved. So thank you for doing this, Tony.
Thank you. Let me see. I'm going to meander. Uh-oh.
The main question that I've been told to ask is where the line between District 2 and District 3 will be. Because there are a couple of different ideas about what we could do. So District 2, if you remember my presentation, is majority POC. District 3, slightly less so, even though as Central District, because up north, you've got Pike Pine, you've got Cap Hill, and it's just got a lot of white people in it. So the question is, when we redraw these lines, how do we want to redraw them in such a way that it gives our community, it raises the voice.
Come back up close. You can keep talking. Come back up close. Don't let the camera interfere. This is for you. The camera's just, yeah, you don't have to back up. You guys just keep talking. Pretend I'm not here. Pretend I'm not here. So as you can see, different discussions are going on. And I'm just going to, once again, throw a mic into somebody's face. How are you feeling about all this?
I think it's a bunch of baloney. This is ridiculous. I try to tell the lady over here, I was born and raised in South Sierra. Yeah, my name is Blaine Parrott, and I'm born and raised in South Seattle. This is ridiculous. We got people from outside the district making decisions for people who live in the district, and this is ridiculous. I was explaining to the lady over here, I'm not out in Bellevue or Issaquah telling them what to do. They shouldn't be telling us what to do in our district and our business. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and they're not even trying to tell people, inform the public or anything. These are major decisions that are affecting people, their lives, the school district, the police, and everything. Not even saying anything. This is totally ridiculous. I didn't even know anything about redistricting until you sent me out the email. So I decided to come back here, and I'm just astonished that this stuff is going on. Like I told the lady again over here, they're making all these major decisions from people who are not live in the district. They have no invested interest in this district. It's ridiculous, and they're making the decisions for us that we should be making our decisions for ourselves, from the people who live here, who work here, who have businesses here. This is our community.
Oh, we got 1 minute left. I'm sorry. Thank you, Blaine, for your commentary. We've got 1 minute left, and so actually, Naire and Maria and Yawan, I'm going to need your attention too. I'm sorry? Oh, okay. Make sure when I call for audience participation, you don't run away from me. Okay. Here, I'll tell you what we got. Okay, we got 1 minute before we have to start again. I got to go back upstairs. Yawan, Maria, Naire, let's go up on stage. What were you saying, sir?
We was talking about the Yesler tourist area. So they go as a District 3 or District 2. I asked if they go District 2 is way better, because it's immigrant community living, most of these Yesler tourists, and also the District 2. So our vote, we can keep one place. So that way our power is going to one district. That's why I asked for that question.
Okay, thank you. We're going to be back. We're going to go to break real quick, and then we're going to come back. We're going to take some more audience questions. We're going to talk to our guests. We're going to do a kind of review of why we're here. And you are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. This is our town hall meeting. A bunch of us got together and said, let's spread the word about the redistricting that's taking place in Seattle. What we're doing, we're looking at a few maps. So we'll be back in about 3 minutes and have further conversation right after this.
And when I'm not driving my sweet AMC Pacer through the car wash, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. You missed a spot.
Washington intiina badan waxaynu wadaagnaa in wadooyinka noqdaan kuwa nabadgelya marka waa inaanu telefoonada meel iska dhignaa laakiin taa samaynteedu ma fududa haddaba fadlan si faafi fariintan muhiimka ah tusaalena u noqo dadka kale koor intaanan jidka ku dhicin geli telefoonkaaga sanduuqa galofyada adoo u sheegaya dadka ay qasin weydii saaxiibada iyo qoyskaaga inay saas oo kala sameeyaan sababtoo ah markuu qof walba kaalintiisa ka soo baxo wadada waxay noqonaysaa mid ammaan ah si wada jir ayaynu taa ku gaari karnaa fariintan waxay ka timid guddida badbaadada wadooyinka Washington.
Rainier Avenue Radio presents All Music All Day Saturday. Music all day Saturdays. This is Edwin Bailey, Bulldog Blue. Jazz from the Cabinets.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Start Time.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pearson. This is Start Time.
Saturdays, all music, all day. Reggae Hour, K-Fox Night.
You looking for the perfect beat? Yeah, it's the beat of the box.
Fresh Juice with D-Money in the group.
Myself to the money. Nice Size Patron.
Taylor Hart. This is Spencia, the Northwest Rap Game.
DJ Medina, Chad Cheddar, Northwest Rat Game.
Sergio Lacour's Love Line.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Go to the phone line. Tell her who we
Sea Monster Radio. Mo Jams is your jam.
We're live. Welcome to Mojo Mondays. This is KZ of KZ Music Media. Caller Goddess for Mojo Mondays.
Just my opinion. God is inspiration all day and all night. Saturdays on Rainier Avenue Radio.
We got the feeling now.
Yeah.
R&B, soul, funk, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We give you all that and more on Star Time. Join me, Paul Pearson, for a 2-hour trip through the history of R&B. A new episode every week on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Come and get the feeling on Star Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Feel uneasy on your feet? Need assistance to walk? Do you use a wheelchair and want to stand more? What if you could stand stronger and feel steadier on your feet? What would this mean for your daily life and those closest to you? Join our dance-based walking program to improve balance, coordination, strength, and stamina. Wednesdays, May 18th to June 22nd at 2 p.m. at the iconic Columbia City Theater in partnership with Rainier Avenue Radio and Hugs That Empower nonprofit. Walkers, wheelchairs, and canes, welcome. If you can stand and bear weight for even just 5 seconds, come dance to walk with Tango Stride.
You know you can't get enough of Rainier Avenue Radio. .world.
Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. You've listened to the station, you've heard that promo before. It wasn't me who did it, I was imitating the person who does it. But yes, we are your community radio station broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is a town hall meeting discussing the redistricting of the city of Seattle. Thank you for those who are here in the audience. Thank you for those who are joining us and listening to us. Thank you to those of you who are joining us on our multiple various platforms. This is important and it's critical. You can maybe get a map and have this discussion in your neighborhood, on your block. There's some wonderful discussions that were taking place here, and I hope that folks will come up and share what they were talking about. And you know, here's the thing. Here's my thing. Just become aware. Yes, there may be folks who say, I like this, or I like this, and it may give you insight into why you should feel the same way. But at the end of the day, your voice is the voice that needs to be heard. Don't feel like you're unimportant. People will get together, yes, as groups of people. If you find like-minded individuals who feel the same way that you do, it's probably going to make your voice stronger. It also lets you know that you're not alone. But make sure that you know that your voice can be amplified and it is just as important as everyone else. That's the main thing that we're trying to get across here today. And we're giving you information from folks who feel some kind of way about it. A lot of folks out here felt some kind of way about it. And so we're going to continue that thing. The initial thing that I would like to do would be to bring Yuan back. So for those of you who are tuning in and maybe you didn't catch this earlier, we kind of had an explanation about redistricting, what it is, shared with you some of the details. Yuan did a fantastic back. So we're going to kind of do a recap of that. Yuan, would you mind coming up and one more again and hitting us with that information? And I'll tell you what, where'd it go? Oh, here it is right here. I'll tell you what, check this one.
So just a recap one more time?
Yes.
Should I bring up the PowerPoint again?
I think that would be a good idea.
All right. Give me 1 sec while I set that up then.
It's kind of muffled with your mask on. Can you take your mask off when you're on the mic? Yeah. Thank you.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's me, Tony B. We are live here at the Columbia City Theater discussing the redistricting of the city of Seattle. All right.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yuan, and I'm just going to quickly go over the Seattle redistricting process one more time. Hopefully, I feel like this is actually a very intuitive process for most of us. So why does Seattle redistricting matter? Could you go to the next slide, please? I think you can just press enter or space. Perfect. So, as most of you know, our city is divided into 7 districts. These districts are represented by a single council member. And the idea is to give each section of Seattle its own voice on our city council. And each council member is meant to represent the same amount of people so that no council member has, no person in Seattle has more of a voice than anybody else. But the way that we draw our districts can really play with that. So that's why the shape of our districts really matters. Here in South Seattle and Central District, we have 2 great city council members. District 2 is represented by Councilmember Tammy Morales, and District 3 is represented by Kashana Swant. And depending on where you live, you voted for one of these council members, assuming you're in District 2 or District 3. And when we redraw our districts, that can change. Do you mind hitting the next slide? Thank you. So the reason why District 2 and District 3 are so special to me is because District 2 and District 3 have a lot of people of color. District 2 has International District, has Beacon Hill, has Rainier Valley. District 3 has Yesler Terrace, it has Central District. And these are communities that are very vulnerable, have a lot of people of color, and are often marginalized and sidelined in a lot of our conversations in Seattle. So even though it seems strange, the way we draw our districts can affect whether or not we have a voice whenever we talk about policy in city council. Next slide, please. So with redistricting, when we just had our census in 2020, we have to redraw our districts because the number of people in each district changed. So in District 3, it grew a lot faster than District 2 did. That means that in order for the District 3 council member to represent the same number of people as the District 2 council member, we have to redraw the districts in such a way that there are fewer people in District 3 and more people in District 2. And I put up there that each district has to have around 105,000 people, but you don't need to remember that number. It's just up there if you really want to know that. Next slide, please. So just to go back to why it matters, I think most of you have heard of something called gentrification, not gentrification, although that too, gerrymandering. Gerrymandering, most of you have probably heard in the context of national congressional districts or even legislative districts. But gerrymandering can definitely happen at a city level as well. The problem with gerrymandering then is that if we redraw these districts in such a way where we break up our communities so that we are separate from each other, then our voices proportionally become much smaller in our districts versus than if we were all together. And that is gerrymandering, and it means that we lose power as a community, and that is something we absolutely don't want to happen. And so this becomes really concerning because a lot of people don't know where our communities are. If you are not from these communities in South Seattle and Central District, then you might not even know where our communities is. And so you end up with really crazy maps like what I'm about to show you. So actually, since I went over this one, let me go over the second one. Why don't we go one more? So the commissioners came out with 4 maps, and you can find them all online. They are all equally, not equally bonkers, but they are very strange in that they cut through our communities, and it's very distressing because the only way, in my opinion, you can draw these maps is if you have no idea what the communities are in Seattle. So this is just one example for map 2 that they gave. You can see District 2 has to expand northward and District 3 has to shrink a little. Let's zoom in just a little. If you just click, it'll zoom. Yep, perfect. So you can see that they try to shrink District 3 by squishing it west. And that means, look at what they did with Central District. It's just like a complete mess. I don't even know if you can consider that Central District anymore in District 3. They cut through the International District right in half. The International District doesn't actually follow I-5. The International District was cut in half historically by the building of the highway, building of I-5, because they don't care about our communities. They see our communities as something that is okay to sacrifice. And so if we just draw along these roads, which if you don't know anything about our communities is something that's very easy to do. If you just draw along these roads, then you are just reinforcing a lot of the historical racism that has happened to our communities and damaged our communities. So these maps are drawn in a way that is really obvious to me that they don't know our communities. And they haven't bothered to look at this and say, maybe we should think about this before we release this to the public. And if we don't speak out, if we don't come together and inform each other, inform our neighbors, say what's happening, this could happen, this could end up a reality. So we need to speak out as a community and say, this is bonkers. This is not how our maps should be. Nobody who understands our communities would draw maps like this.
Can you run down the timeline and deadlines for this?
Yeah, so the question was what the timeline and deadline for this redistricting process would be. So from here through the end of July, the commissioners are holding a number of public forums, 1 per district. The problem with this is that the timeline, if you think about between now and July, it's like nothing, it's just a couple months. And actually the District 2 public forum already happened 5 days ago. How many people do you think knew about that? Almost nobody, right? Nobody, we don't even know that the redistricting is happening. How are people supposed to know to show up to the forum? And so as a result, that's why a lot of us feel this sense of urgency. So, sorry, just to go back to the timeline. Between now and the end of July, they will have the public forums. And then at the beginning of August, they will come out with the first proposals. It is like the first draft. And then there will be more public comment. I think it's about 2 months. And then they will have the opportunity to come out with the final maps. That is a very short timeline, my friends. That it makes me a little anxious to think about it. And so that is why we are all trying to hurry to inform our neighbors. Yes.
Yeah, what I'm concerned is about the decision-making process.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, what bothers me is the decision-making process, throwing numbers, data to create more bias or to enforce the biases that already existed. So if race and racial equity is not included in this decision making, that we are in trouble. One. So how are we going to supposed to include in the decision making race and social justice equity? One. Second, also the problem is much bigger because of what's taking place, that many of communities of color are leaving this area because they cannot afford to live in their own houses, because the price of the house is skyrocketing, and people who have been here for 40, 50 years, they cannot even afford to live in their own houses. So our problem is much bigger than that. So I don't know what is to be done in the light of all those difficulties. I think you are young and you have a lot of experience just leading to us. What do you expect as community leaders to inform our citizens in the light of this difficult situation?
Yeah, great comments and great question. I think it was Naire. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, please. Thank you. That's a great question. I did want to point out that these maps that you want to are talking about, I guess, these were created by a King County GIS consultant as, I guess, an example of how they should look, which is what we don't agree with, right? Because they don't actually put in the values that we want for our communities. And so Urban League is part of the Redistricting Justice for Seattle Coalition, and we have partnered with More Equitable Democracy to create a whole bunch of different alternative draft maps. And we started having our mapping sessions this month. And these maps were made from scratch, just with the demographical data that matter, that go with our values of keeping communities together, communities of interest together, right? And so I would advise you to look more into Redistricting Justice for Seattle. You can join the coalition as an individual, or you can bring your organization to join. You can attend the mapping sessions and see a whole bunch of different draft maps, and then also give feedback. And then we also, in order to vote for the maps, we use ranked choice voting. And so I would just advise you guys to look into that as well. And yeah, so I'll pass it back to you.
Bearcat is the chair of the Coalition for Immigrant Refugees and Communities of Color. He's really a very good organizer. So I just want to say that in Beacon Hill Council, we had a study session. And out of that, we wrote a letter to the Districting Commission, and also have shared this with leaders in Chinatown ID and leaders in Central District. And where we have not had, because things move really fast. It's like we learned about it. The next week we had our study session. The next week was the District 2. So we got to go back out to the community. We need you, because I tell you, in each of the plans, there was something not right. And it's almost like there are ground rules, right? You know, we have to follow in the fundamental shape of the district, and then we have to make sure it rebalances. So for us, it's going to be going from 90,000 to 105,000. Where are we going to find that difference? It's almost on our backs. But, you know, I heard you talking a while ago about how do we keep the immigrants and refugees together, so that whatever power, because there are different needs that we are advocating for, and whatever power that has been rebuilt in our communities and our respective communities has to be retained and respected. You know, balkanizing is dividing and conquer is not going to work. So it really is on our, it's an oddest thing. It's on our backs to say, not only is this important, but this is what we want. Again, you know, this is the first round of maps. So we got to come in with strong set of what we want. And, you know, there are ground rules in it. And so that's kind of like it's almost like, you know, as taxpayers, we pay government to do the work. And now we're having to be, GIS people, and, you know, ethnographic people and political consultants to do the right thing. But we will do that right thing, because it's about our communities and about how we're able to have a better life for our communities and not have, not go 2 steps back again.
And then also adding to that, that shows that our government needs to learn how to give culturally competent, culturally relevant, language inclusive outreach. Like Maria said, like all of us are not GIS experts. I tried to use the Dave's Redistricting tool and I failed at it, and I just graduated college. So it's like, imagine somebody that has not been in school for 20 years and it, is challenged with the computer, or doesn't understand English. Like there's a lot of barriers that go into redistricting, and what are ways that the government can ease those barriers and eradicate them. So that's just something to think about. Sorry, I keep messing with the microphone.
This is a conversation that we kind of had around gentrification, about once these districts are drawn, the people that are in it constantly change. And something I think that I haven't said before is that these districts are drawn and then they stay that way for 10 years because they're only redrawn after the census. And so we have to get this right now, or else we're stuck with awful districts for 10 years. That is 10 years of power lost that we will not get back. So that's one reason that we have to pay attention. Sorry, to go back to gentrification, I think it's really important for us to think about how our council members will represent us on the council when they talk about writing policy and passing legislation that will prevent gentrification, that will prevent the displacement of our communities that is happening. I've actually talked to some people in other parts of Seattle, like in Madrona or in Queen Anne or further north in like Ravenna. And I've asked them, do you even care about gentrification? And they were like, no, it's just not an issue that we really think about in our own communities, right? Because it's not something that is heavily on their minds. But I know, yeah, it's already. Let me just finish and then I'll get to you. But I know that when I talk to someone from South Seattle, gentrification is the number one thing on all of our minds, right? It is the number one thing that we talk about because our families are getting displaced. We're not going to be able to see our families. Like the ID is there's like not many Asian people left in there. So that's something that we want to prevent and something we have to think about when it comes to who we want to represent us.
Yuan, I'm going to jump in. And we're going to get ready to go to break, and then we'll have some more conversation and head down the home stretch and wrap this conversation up. So things that were discussed in the groups, I'd certainly like to hear everyone's voices. I think our audience would as well. Apparently there are a whole bunch of people that sit in District 3 who weren't able to get on, but they're figuring out how to listen. What was that message, KL? From District 3, Ruby? This is old school. This is called the Yale phone. Here, I'm just going to let you say that. You said it like they probably meant it. Oh, okay. So this is going to be the closing thing here.
She said, Miss Ruby Holland from District 3 said, please tell everyone that several District 3 residents can't get in, but we are watching on Facebook and we all want the CD to remain intact.
All right. There you go. Like I said, people feel some kind of way about this. And again, we get back from break. We'll talk to some folks about what happened during the breakout session. We tried to get some folks on Zoom. Is Andrew still there? Andrew's gone. Okay. So we'll talk again with Yuan and Naire and Maria. How much time I got left? 2 minutes? 3 minutes? Okay, cool. Well, in the next 3 minutes, you're about to get an infomercial. before we go to commercial. We are here live at the Columbia City Theater. I'm Tony B. This is Rainier Avenue Radio. We're your community radio station. This is our new home. This is where we'll be located. And thank you. Quite an accomplishment. And just in the scheme of things that we're talking about, this is the first time. And our partnership is with the Cultural Space Agency. I've been an amazing partner in working with us to acquire this property. But big shout out to the person who owned it, because he called me, and I mean, we're cool. You know, we don't go out and have coffee or anything, but we're cool. And he called me on August of 2020 to tell me that he was selling the Columbia City Theater. And I said, good luck. You probably get, a fortune for it, especially, where it's located and everything. And he asked me what I thought about it. And I said, oh, it's an iconic piece of history for our community. You know that. It's been here through multiple different, changes in our community, from the oldest vaudeville theater in Seattle, burlesque, comedy, huge in the underground rave situation, grunge. This is where I came, Maria, you too, probably, where you could watch black movies and kung fu movies. This was the place, the only place that you could come. And so it's a big memory. And it's been a lot of things. That, the legend is that Jimi Hendrix performed here when he was in high school. Quincy Jones performed on this stage. Ella Fitzgerald, Ray Charles. I was interviewing Kathy Sledge on this stage, Caleb, about 3 weeks ago? I was talking to Kathy Sledge from Sister Sledge. I hope everybody knows who Sister Sledge. Do you know who Sister Sledge is? We are family.
Showing my age.
Yeah, I know. We Are Family, a song that is now in a lot part of the Library of Congress, one of the most popular songs in history. And we were sitting on this stage interviewing and talking, and she said something that I thought was very profound. And she was in here for the first time, and I was telling her the people who performed on this stage. And she said, wow, how many people had to enter through that back door because they couldn't come in the front door? I say that to say this is the first time this theater has been Black owned. So, all right. Well, we're gonna take a commercial break here, and certainly want to hear from the folks who, whatever your thoughts are, it doesn't matter. Don't be shamed. Don't be scared. Tell us what you think. Apparently the folks in the Seattle district who are watching this are very adamant about District 3. Hands off. So I'll get some discussion maybe from y'all about that too, what you think about that. Okay, we'll be back to finish this discussion in about 3 minutes. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not busy tearing the roof off the suckers, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Northwest Film Forum's Collective Power Fund is now open for grant applications. Grants are starting at $2,000 up to $10,000 for individual or artist collectives. The annual grant cycle focuses primarily on supporting art that incites public dialogue, pushes boundaries, explores genre fluidity, speaks its truth through an authentic perspective, and is often non-traditional, anti-institutional, socially responsible, or disruptive of any existing structures and conventions. Learn more and apply at collectivepowernw.org.
Turn up your radio wherever you at. We about to bring it. Street Beat with Tony B.
Tony B will give you a chance to tackle local, national, and international issues that affect your community.
Street Beat. Street Beat. Tony.
Women are not an homogenous group. We face discrimination differently depending on factors such as ethnicity, age, socioeconomic status, and more.
Rainier Avenue Radio is proud to amplify women's voices.
They are the experts of their own lives, initiating conversations within their community about challenges they face, the solutions they're working on, and the opportunities they see.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 for Women's Voices on Air. We know our challenges. We are the experts of our lives.
We are master multitaskers, prioritizing our family, friends, and our faith above our own needs.
Our needs and voices are too often overlooked.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. for Women's Voices on Air.
We tell our stories in our own way.
Wash your hands, don't touch your face, wipe things down, clean up your space. When you cough and sneeze, do responsibly. If you feel you're getting ill, isolate at home and chill. No, you're not alone. Please pick up your phone and call 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health Community Radio Station will provide you with more information. Say Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at rainieravenue.world.
Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's me, Tony B. I am hosting this town hall discussion and co-hosting with me. Thank you, Yuan. Yuan, you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thanks, Tony.
We're talking about the redistricting that's taking place in Seattle. We just a little while ago shared a little bit more information about what's taking place. And so I just want to, I got a couple people here. I'm not going to be too much in your Kool-Aid, but I just want to ask some folks what was shared in the breakout sessions and perspective about what this is all about. Would you mind? Okay.
So I was saying that I wasn't entirely sure I understood all of the nuances of these maps here, the philosophy behind each one. So I'd be interested to and Yuan was talking about this a little bit as well, but I'd be interested to understand why things were shaped in different ways and what the thinking was behind, you know, this piece and this piece. And so Yuan did say a little bit about the border between District 2 and 3 being really critically important. So I think that's where my homework is going to be in terms of understanding that border and what the people that live there, you know, that kind of thing.
Thank you. Any of you, would you like to comment on what she just said? I hope you do. Any of you?
I can. Give me one sec. One
of the things that we're looking at right now between District 2 and District 3 is the fact that Yesler Terrace is split between those districts. And as Yuan mentioned before, when communities of color are split, it decreases their voting power and chances for equitable representation. And so that's one of the things that we're prioritizing, is doing outreach to the Yesler Terrace community and asking, like, first of all, do you care about being split between these two different districts? Who would you want to represent your district? And would you want to be, basically all together? And do you identify more with like Rainier Beach, or do you identify more with Leschi? So that's one way to get people to understand redistricting, is by asking what neighborhoods do you relate to. So that's one thing I would look out for if you're trying to research more into the borders of District 2 and District 3.
The other communities that I've been told that are important, that are not entirely sure whether should be in District 2 or District 3, are Judkins and Langston Hughes. And I spoke to, I'm so sorry, I forgot his name, that you mentioned was part of the leader of the immigrant Barrackett. He mentioned to me that he felt very strongly that Yesler Terrace should be in District 2 because has a large African immigrant population, and therefore should be kept together with the rest of the African immigrant population in District 2. That is information that we need to know from our community members. And that is the kind of information that we're hoping to get from forums like these. I know Redistricting Justice for Seattle is doing a large part of this outreach in trying to learn where these communities are and trying to learn where the people in those communities want to be, either in District 2 or District 3. So people who are living in those communities that I mentioned, and so Judkins, Langston Hughes, and Yesler Terrace, if you have opinions, if you have knowledge of the communities there, we want to know where you would prefer to be in District 2 or District 3. And then we will help draw the maps so that you can stay in the districts that you want to stay in, so that you can keep your power where you want to keep your power.
Maria, did you comment, or I'll grab somebody else?
I'm just going to say real quick, case in point of what happens when you're split. So Beacon Hill, on the state representative, we're represented to the west side by 37th, on the right side by 11th. If you think trying to influence, thank you for nodding, trying to influence legislators is really hard. The other heartache we have is Senator Bob Hasegawa, who is our strongest advocate, got district out of Beacon Hill. And he has been our guiding light on how to maneuver legislation.
Okay. I have a gentleman right here. Would you mind standing up? And actually, we've got a camera right here. And just, you can ask whatever you want. You said, no, you get to ask whatever you want or say whatever you want.
Okay, I just had a question. This redistricting process is all about maps. Do you guys have a map that shows the areas that you're really worried about, that I as a user could look and better understand what these issues that you're really talking about? I'm having trouble finding such a map.
Somebody want to?
I'm just going to say one thing before so actually the maps that we have out there, right there on the tables in the back, are proposed maps by Redistricting Justice for Seattle that have been drawn.
That's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for a map that shows the area that you're interested in. So when you say what the central district is, I'd like a map that actually shows a boundary on that map. When you say I've got Asian, group population, I like a map that shows what areas you're most worried about, not just edges of the current map. I'd like to see a more proactive outreach to just not your in-group, but other people like myself that are trying to figure out what the hell is going on. You guys aren't very helpful.
Well, they're here to help, but you get to make your feedback, and you guys certainly have the opportunity. We are live, and I said everybody's voice is heard. Anybody want to comment on that? And by the way, these aren't folks who are doing the redistricting. These are folks who are trying to amplify voices and get the word out. But anybody want to say anything?
Yeah, thanks for your feedback. We actually just hosted a mapping session not too long ago with Redistricting Justice for Seattle Coalition, and the way that the maps are shown, the alternative draft map proposals that we have also have different slides that include different values and why this map is different than the other maps, such as what is the citizen voting age population for this area? How many people of color live in this area? Although we don't support gerrymandering, but also which areas voted for which candidate in this area. So those are all things that are important. Like you said, like we need to see the information more about values than about how the map is drawn. It's more about the values. And that's actually the maps that we show and the data that we show. Each slide shows those different values. It's not reflected on those maps up there. So I can understand the frustration. But I would definitely recommend that you come to one of our mapping sessions. I wish I could have plugged in more information about them here, but definitely go to Redistricting Justice for Seattle online. And you can look at more of the mapping sessions we have in the future.
Ray, can those maps be accessible so you can give a link? Ray, obviously he wants to do more studying. Is there any way you can have some of those racial census data mapped or statistics per community accessible that you guys are using for the basis of discussion?
I wish Andrew was here right now because he would have been able to, yeah.
So actually, it's actually made available by the City of Seattle. If you go to their redistricting website, if you go to the official City of Seattle redistricting website, they actually give you the opportunity to draw your own maps through a tool called Dave's Redistricting. And that tool has all of the precincts, and you can, if you click into the various areas, it will tell you the racial data for each of the districts and the precincts. So that is where you can get the data that we would be looking at, that the commissioners would be looking at.
I've seen that thing. I have all that data that you're talking about. That's available to the census data. What I'm interested is information of what your interest is. You take this data and you have this understanding of the communities of sort of interest. I'd like to know some spatial area of what you think is important for these various issues. So if I want to make my own maps, I could take one of your maps that you show what you're interested in, and I could try to make my own maps.
What's your name?
I'm not seeing that.
What's your name, sir?
Greg Petrie.
So we have not, over at Beacon Hill, which is a smaller place, we did a study session. So we don't have maps drawn, but I can give you this, which we submitted, so that you would know what our interest is and what parts of the city we were interested in. Part of what we're hoping for also is to make sure the Central District has its own voice and that we support that voice. So the principle we have adopted is to make sure that we support their own hard-won empowerment that they've been working on, and that doesn't get mitigated because of the split in districting. So I hope that's helpful. We ourselves don't have the maps yet, and we still need to do more outreach so that there's more people. I know I was very frustrated because I couldn't just get a slide that showed where people of color were within our city. It had to be like census data blocks, and it was numerics. So there wasn't that visual representation you're talking about. But eventually, I think we are all going to have to create those tools, to make it easy for folks to understand.
Did you want to comment? Because we have some stuck people on Zoom I want to get on. Did you want to wrap that up?
I just want a clarifying question. Are you asking, for example, if when we mention Beacon Hill and we mention Central District, are you asking for borders of where those communities are?
What I would be interested in is some outline that shows what you think these areas of interest are. Ideally, do you believe the census data? I could take that census data and I can make a map of where the people of color are in the Seattle, and I could use that, but that's not necessarily where you guys are coming from. I hear you guys are talking in general terms, but if I'm making a map, I need some more insights of what areas you think are critical areas.
And I'm going to cut it off right there because we have other people to get to, and we spent some time on this. We have some folks on Zoom. Andrew is on Zoom. Andrew, welcome to the town hall discussion. Andrew, what do you want to share with us? Andrew, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm still here. I didn't have anything in particular to share. Although to answer, I think it can help answer that man's question if we still want it. That's the only reason why I volunteered to come back on. because Nari mentioned my name. But if we're moving on, then I have nothing else to say except, yeah, thank you all for having the conversations about maps. I'd love to hear what other folks have to say about the boundaries and the map proposals that y'all looked at.
Okay, and we've got Teresa on Zoom as well. Teresa, are you there, Teresa?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Teresa, welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio's World's Town Hall discussion on redistricting Seattle. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and congratulations on your new surroundings. I think this is great because I knew nothing about it, and people need to get out and come to these meetings. I went to the mapping one, and it was very informative, and thank you, Andrew. One of my questions is there, and thank you to all of you guys, is there a way to have something modified so I could share it in my Facebook group? You know, there's a question and answering function, and I want to know if there's a way to get people to interact with the group that way, who aren't coming out or who want to know. This is important information. People need to realize we're going to be stuck with whatever, maybe it will be good stuff. We're going to be stuck with it for 10 more years. I don't know. Minority, what they call global majority, but VIP people, voices are split up over food. So you need to get in there and you need to do your part so that we can support our history.
Thank you, Teresa. And yes, we will try to come up with more ways to get information shared on various platforms. Here's the deal. We're not trying to make you find us. We're trying to find you. And so if there is something that is a barrier for you, don't feel like you're in the wrong. If we need to find a better way to get information to you, that's what we're going to try to do. If we need to find a different way to share communication with you, that's a bridge that we are trying to build. So again, I implore everyone, no matter what your question is, no matter what your position is on it, that's what we're here right now for, is to share that. And I'm going to talk to somebody who doesn't really want to speak, but if you wouldn't mind standing up and just whatever you want to say about this entire process or what happened today.
I really appreciate this process. I literally came in off the street, so I appreciate this. I've lived in both districts now, and I think it's important to keep these communities in seats of power, because that is a huge part of the culture of our communities here and what makes them what we love about them.
Good enough. I know you. Oh, hold on. Let me run. Okay. Ms. Parrott.
Question. The people who are making up these decisions, do they live out in Bellevue, this firm or whatever? Are they out in Bellevue?
I am not familiar with where the GIS consultants are actually located.
Because I want to find out, because I don't understand why is my money be taken outside of my community, and these people who are outside my community don't give a damn nothing about our community, don't live in the community, have no vested interest in the community, be allowed to make our decisions that's going on in the community. Because we're not over here and nobody's asking me what's going on in Issaquah or Bellevue. They're not, I mean, is it the reverse of it? Can we like make some kind of rule or law, say, hey man, you're going to be making the decisions in the community, you have to be here, you have to have a vested interest. Come on, that makes common sense. They don't give a damn nothing about us. We shouldn't be writing them a damn check about nothing, because they're not going to show up for any of these meetings. They don't live here, they don't work here, they don't socialize here. They shouldn't have a damn thing to do with what's going on in our community. That's the bottom line. They could, who I got to call up and cuss out? CNC, what's their number? It doesn't make any sense, because we just keep on giving them a check. They don't give a damn about nothing. They got some intern on the side coming up with this stuff. They don't cast their check. They out they big boats and big cars doing whatever they want to do. They don't give a damn nothing about us. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's dumb. We're dumb for it, going along with it. We're even the bigger fools. This is a public meeting or a comedy club because this is a joke. We just keep on giving these people these checks and they don't give a damn about us. You know why they living over there. They don't give a damn about us. That's the bottom line. But we keep on giving these people this money. So what? They don't keep on doing what they doing because we keep on giving them what we giving. Our money, our tax dollars. Our tax dollars should not be made what's going on in this community by people outside of it. That's just it.
What would you, and I got a couple people who want to talk. What would you like to see done?
I would like to go ahead. Hey, if these people can't show us that they have something invested in their interest to make it a decision, that they actually know what's going on with our voter rights and everything, who people are in the community or they live here, they work here or something. What's your zip code before we sit back and write you a check so you can understand what you're doing to the people you're doing it to.
I know I got want to get to a couple people. Caleb, are we good on Zoom? And I know that you
Tony?
and
Tony?
time, where are we on time? I know that you
Hey,
wanted
Tony, can I just
let me get to her for a second.
I have a general question. So if districts 1 and 2 are below the level of the population that they need to be now, and assuming it's a zero-sum game with the southern border being Renton, I'm guessing, right? Does that not mean that District 1 will have to move east into District 2 and District 2 will need to move north into District 3, right? So it's all going to kind of go like that, inevitably. So I'm curious because there was a couple of the maps there that seemed like District 2 was actually moving west into District 1, and I thought, how's District 1 going to get its population? Do you know what I'm saying?
Anybody want to?
Yeah, I'm going to take that on. Okay, so there's 4 maps. The first 2 maps are technical because the guidance is you have to stay within the district lines and kind of just push the border to be able to get equitable 103,000 per each of the districts. So our challenge is to see how we can go down to the neighborhood level to see if there is a community of interest. What binds them together? Do they have common needs? What is it that they're trying to advocate for? That's the community of interest. So when you go online, there's 6 criteria, and one of which is no gerrymandering, meaning you can't draw here and then put a spot there and add it. You kind of have to stretch within the designated boundaries. That's why when you were talking about moving to the east, to the west, to the north, that is the art of doing this piece. But the ground rule is you have to stay kind of like within the original boundaries, and you can push it and stretch it. But if you notice, there was the one wherein it curved, like it cut out Middle Beacon Hill, right? It cut out Judkins. So the first 2 maps were basically technical maps. The third and the fourth were influenced by the commissioners. Now they're coming to us. So it's our chance to really say, this is our community of interest, and this is what we want out of this. And as far as what you were talking about, which is, are they hiring from within the city of Seattle or a consultant outside? Talk to Tammy. She can influence that.
We have, I'm sorry, Blaine. We are nearing the end of this discussion. And of course, we could talk about this, what did Captain America say? I could do this all day. I do want to wrap up here, but before we do that, well, first of all, thank you each. And I want to give you each about a minute for closing statements here. I think that'd be the right thing to do at this point because of this discussion. Since you have the mic, why don't you start 60 seconds, whatever you want to say to those listening right now and watching, whether it be a summary or you just, this is how I feel about it.
Well, I just want to say thank you. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody who came. We all are here because we care about our communities, and we want to make sure that we still have a say for the next 10 years. I think that it's really important that we talk to everybody we know. I know a lot of us don't like talking about politics to other folks who, so-called aren't political, but this is something that affects everybody because it's geographical. And I think people in our communities need to know that if you want to have a vote over the next couple of years, that this will affect who you vote for. It'll affect who your family votes for, your sisters, your brothers, your aunts, your uncles, your grandma, your daughters, your sons, your nieces, your nephews. If they are living all over Seattle and you want them to have the same voice as you do, this is going to matter. And the only way that we can influence this is by speaking up. The only way we can influence this is by telling our families, our friends, our communities. I implore everybody to let everyone know that this is happening. You don't have to say, please do this. Just tell them that it's happening, because then the more people know that it's happening, the more that we can speak out. Thank you.
Thank you. And Naire.
Yeah, thanks, Juan. I do want to say that you don't need to be a political science nerd. You don't need to know geographic information systems to know how your community should be drawn in districts. Your lived experience is enough. I'm from the South End. I'm from the CD. I know that those two areas are prominent hubs of Asian, Black, Latinx communities, right? And we need to be kept together. And that's what's the most important to me in the redistricting process. And I don't like that that standpoint has been silenced when it comes to redistricting. And that's where our community needs to step in and have a voice and how their districts will be drawn. So yeah, make sure that you guys are involved, share with your family and friends like Yuan said, and then also Redistricting Justice for Seattle has a coalition and we welcome everybody to join and attend our mapping sessions. But yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Maria.
Well, I want to say ditto, and I want to say this is just practice because the comprehensive plan is coming. And that will guide the zoning for your neighborhood, what kind of trees you have, all sorts of things. So this is just practice for that. And unfortunately, the South End, we have the lowest find it, fix it. We don't even complain. We have the lowest find it, fix it. And in Beacon Hill, we have very low voter registration. So we got to get it together, everybody. Thank you so much.
All right. We would like to thank all of you who came. And those of you watching on our various platforms, those of you listening over our various platforms, this has been the town hall meeting discussing the city of Seattle's redistricting. And you'll be able to go back and watch this information again. You'll be able to share this information with friends. So for those who couldn't make it at this particular time to either this particular location, it'll be on demand probably in about 15 minutes over YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, and you can go back and watch this all again. So having said that, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for your participation and sharing your feedback, your commentary, your opinions. Thank you for our live audience. Thank you to those, again, watching. Coming up next, I believe, is it The Mix? We had a lot of stuff on this radio station. At 10 o'clock tonight, though, we do have what we call our adult programming. Really cool stuff. Bosstool Talk comes on at 10 o'clock, and check them out. And then at 11 o'clock, I believe it's Blunts and Hookahs. So that's at 11 o'clock. And then I believe at midnight, it's the award-winning Neon Ghost Show. Those guys are just bananas. So that's our adult programming that happens every Tuesday night. Again, thanks to all the folks behind the scenes. On behalf of Rainier Avenue Radio, Caleb and Daniel and James, Brother Ty, Jelani, really appreciate you, KL. 2 weeks ago, we were on a conversation where none of us, you did, but a lot of us, I didn't, had no idea what was going on. And it was, you know what? Let's spread the word. Let's not complain about what we don't know. And you're free to do that too. But we decided what we're going to do is start. And we started taking that step. So that's what this has been all about. It's just been a step in informing our community. We'll do more, but you can do more too. If this has got your attention like it has got the attention of some of the folks in here, request a map. Have a meeting in your own home, have a barbecue, and say, let's talk about what's going on in our neighborhood potentially and what we want and what we like. Hello, Emilia. Did you want to say something before I go? Okay, come on up here. This is live radio. I know we got about a minute left, but I know you just got here, but you were part of the meeting and part of making this happen. And so I want to make sure that your voice gets heard too. I'll just interrupt everything and bring you on, okay? Hello, Emilia, go ahead. Whatever you want to say.
Yes, my name is Emilia Smith, and I'm running for the 37th Legislative District. I would love your support. I'm a homegrown 37, Seattle, South Seattle, CD, Rainier Beach, Beacon Hill. Yes, please, I love your support. 37th Legislative District, Position 2. Thank you.
And, you know, I'm not going to let you, your thoughts, your opinions on redistricting. Are you feeling some kind of way about it?
I am feeling some kind of way. I think that there was a total lack of engagement with our community, kind of just pushing us aside and doing something, lack of transparency. And they should have taken some more time. And you can go back and pause and take the necessary time to engage with us. And so we can talk about it, because similar to what our young leader over here just said and shared, is that we got to keep our communities together. Thank you.
Thank you, Emilia. With that being said, I'm Tony B on behalf of Rainier Avenue Radio and everyone here. That's all the time I have. That's going to do it for the kid. It's me, Tony B, saying, remember, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you are probably right.